You're on the Bible Forum. I'm Warren Sprouse. You like fairy tales? You know how fairy tales start, right? Once upon a time. Well, I have a fairy tale for you. You see, once upon a time, America was made up of tightly knit communities that were united by family, faith, and patriotism, but now are more isolated than ever before. Of course, one of the biggest reasons for this is the fact that we are all spending countless hours staring at the various screens instead of interacting with real people. However, our fundamental beliefs are also significantly shaping how and what we do believe. For the past couple of generations, we have de-emphasized family structure, faith, and patriotism. We have done this as a nation, and instead we have become an extremely me-centered society that is primarily focused on doing whatever makes me happy in this moment. You can see pieces of this in society as people are walking down the street, thumbing on their phones and walking right into a pool of water or something, into the side of cars on the street or whatever. We're sitting in rooms full of people talking to other people we've never met. A recent survey conducted by Cigna found that almost half of all Americans actually feel lonely. This is according to a survey of 20,000 people in America. Using a well-regarded UCLA, quote, loneliness scale, end of quote, to measure the responses, 46% said they sometimes or always feel alone. 47% say they sometimes or always feel left out. Other surveys have produced numbers that are even more alarming. A Harris poll was conducted a few years ago, actually discovered 72% of all Americans experience loneliness. The survey of more than 2,000 Americans conducted by the Harris poll last month on behalf of the American Osteopathic Association showed that almost three-quarters, 72% of Americans experience loneliness. And for many, it's not just a once-in-a-while occurrence. A third of these people said they feel lonely at least once a week. Now, this doesn't factor in what we generally think of as the happiest time of the year, Christmas, which for many just magnifies their loneliness. People see love, warmth, community modeled in television commercials and in Hallmark movies, and they assume that most people out there must be living lives just like that. But the reality is that millions of American families will gather during the holidays. But a new survey has found that the average American only needs 3 hours and 54 minutes before they start to feel sick of their families. What's that about? A total of 2,000 Americans who usually travel to visit family during the holiday took part in the research, and 75% of them said they will inevitably need to get away from their relatives and indulge in some much-needed me time. Now, God created us to love and to be loved. We are social creatures. We have been designed that way. When you remove love from the equation, people become very miserable very quickly. In America today, something called deaths of despair are happening at the highest rate in all of U.S. history. The following information comes directly from the U.S. Congress Joint Economic Committee. Apparently, Ann Case and Angus Deaton famously chronicled a dramatic rise among middle-aged non-Hispanic whites since 1999 in something called deaths of despair. These are deaths by suicide, drugs, alcohol poisoning, alcoholic liver disease, and cirrhosis of the liver. Mortality from deaths of despair far surpass anything seen in America since the dawn of the 20th century, when we started looking at stuff like this. The recent increase has primarily been driven by an unprecedented epidemic of drug overdose. But even excluding those deaths, the combined mortality rate from suicides and alcohol-related deaths is higher than at any point in more than 100 years. So it would appear that our very unhappy nation is rapidly becoming even more unhappy. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out why this is going on. As a society, we have decided that marriage is no longer important. So now we have one of the lowest marriage rates and one of the highest divorce rates in the entire world. As a society, we decided that children were not important. We can have them, we can kill them. It doesn't matter. No, we don't care about them. So now our birth rate has dropped below replacement levels. And a third of all U.S. children live in a home without a father. As a society, we decided that patriotism was not important. So now the American flag is being banned by some schools as a divisive symbol. And most of our young people have never even read the entire U.S. Constitution, let alone studied it in school. As a society, we decided that God wasn't important. So now just about every form of evil you can possibly imagine is exploding in our society among younger and younger people. And we are literally on a path that leads to national suicide. If you feel lonely, miserable, or depressed during the holiday season, reach out to the people you love, whether they love you or not, to them. Life is way too short to live it alone. Society would have us believe that those who have the most money are the most successful. It's not true. The reality is that those that love the most are really the most successful. So let's endeavor to be people of great love. Will you become a millionaire? Not likely. But you will be successful in that life will make sense to you. And you will have people you can count on. You won't be out there by yourself, and that's important. Make a point of learning about your neighbors and about your co-workers and about other people you interact with on a regular basis, especially family. Otherwise, you're going to end up isolated out here on an edge. And one day you're going to feel like there's nothing here. And you're either going to get drunk, do drugs, become very depressed, and or kill yourself. Not before you isolate and become something other than what you are now. People are important. Not because I said so, because God said so. And because every study that anybody ever has looked at, conducted, or been a part of reinforces. We need each other. Go out and find somebody. Be a friend. It's Christmas.